And we're live, episode 5, end of the bench show. Scott here. Pat is not with us today, but I have a very special guest for the end of the bench show today. He is the number one fan of the end of the bench, a key cog in it, even though he is too humble to admit it. Nick Landi of the Landi Lodge. Landi, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. And yeah, anyone who knows me, humble is very easily the word that best describes me.
Yeah,
Scott,
humble
thank
and
you for
crazy.
having me, dude. Scott, thank you for having me. I think this is great. Congratulations to both you and Pat for
Thank you.
starting this podcast. I'm excited to be here. This is cool. I kind of had a feeling this would happen one day, that I'd be
Yeah,
on your podcast. I kind of had a feeling this was coming eventually, but it's nice to finally be here.
Yeah, it's nice to finally have you. I've been on yours 3 times, and on the third time, I said that this was coming, and I half-heartedly was like, "It may not come as soon as I just thought it was gonna come, as soon as I said it was gonna come," and then like it pretty much fell in line with when I predicted we would do it. Too bad Corona is happening and kind of like kills the sports vibe, but we're still alive, we're still healthy, so that's something to be
That's the
proud of at
important
this
stuff.
point.
That's the important stuff, man. Sports are going to come back. We don't know
Yeah.
when, but sports are going to come back.
They will come back. We're gonna talk a little sports today. We're gonna talk just a little like shoot the shit, regular stuff that me and you kind of specialize in anyway.
Hmm.
I want to before we start, I want to thank you for being a monthly supporter of the End of the Bench show, and I texted you today to let you know, and I'll let the fans know now. We made our first donation to No Kid Hungry today for $46. So that was great. There's a thing on their website that says $10 helps contribute to 100 meals. So we helped contribute to 460 meals this month. So hopefully we keep that going. Get stronger and stronger each month. But what we're doing is still good enough. So let's get into it, Landy.
Let's
Um,
do it.
we're chatting a little bit before, like there's not a whole lot going on, but we are both big baseball fans. We are big football fans. So I want to talk about everyone's favorite quarterback first, and that is obviously Andy Dalton, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals. He was cut today. I was minorly surprised, but not really. They drafted Joe Burrow number 1 overall. Landy, I know you're not a draft person, so I got to
Not the
fill you in
biggest
on
draft
that.
guy. Big
uh,
fan of the Kevin McBride specials, though.
yes, Kevin was tremendous, tremendous.
Oh,
Um,
he's got some big brain stuff when it comes to the draft.
Yeah, he was a little smart. I feel like I kept up pretty well with him. I was kind of proud of myself after the second time he was on. The first time he was on, I was like, "Yeah, I got nothing, Kev. You gotta." And I mean, you connected me too because I got his number from you. I mean, I know Kevin before that, but and I texted him, I was like, "Hey, you want to go on for the draft?" And he was like shooting me idea. He basically produced the whole first episode that we did together. It was great. It was the perfect guest.
Yo, good for him.
I
He's the
gave him
man, dude.
ideas, and he's like, "Yeah, but like, what about this?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, whatever. You want to do that? We'll do that. It's fine." But anyway, Andy Dalton cut. Big speculation as to where he's going to go. He's probably not going to get a starting quarterback job at this point.
Oh, you don't
The
think he's the next Tom Brady?
No,
You don't
I
think
don't think
Belichick's gonna scoop him up and turn him into a legend?
so. I do think the Patriots are a likely landing spot for him, and if he does go there, I'd have to imagine he'd be the starter over Jared Stidham
All
because
all
go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say is if the Patriots pick up Andy Dalton and win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton, it does nothing but solidify how good of a coach Belichick is, even though I hate the guy.
Yeah.
And that would hurt Tom Brady's legacy more than anything else, I think. If Andy Dalton goes to the Patriots and has Tom Brady success, everyone's going to foot the bill at Belichick for all that success for all those years.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I both agree that that won't happen, because Andy Dalton he's a fine regular season quarterback. He's never won the big game. He's barely ever won a primetime game, let alone a playoff game.
I feel
So
like that dude's best seasons were in like the first 2 or 3 years he was in the league.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I was on his football reference page before, and you're pretty spot on with that. But I do think the Patriots are an option. the team that I'd like to see him go to is the Steelers, just because that I think
That
he
would be a
could.
burn.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a team. Obviously, he would not start. I would assume Roethlisberger comes back and starts, and Dalton would back him up. But it's a team that's they're a good football team. Ben is closer to retiring than not retiring, and Andy Dalton is still 32 years old. So I mean, if he takes a backup role now, he could still start later down the line in his career. Like he's not like looking for his last job right now. Um, so I like that pairing. It's in the division, which is kind of cool. I always like that. Like when you go to a new team in the same division, you get to face them 2 times a year, kind of stick it to them. But other than that, like it's not like an exciting name. Like Andy Dalton is more of a joke than like a headline at this point. But I
All
mean,
the more reason he has the potential to tarnish Tom Brady's legacy.
yeah, he does have that potential. I mean, it's either like everyone has been saying it's either going to be Andy Dalton or Cam Newton in New England, and I have an easier time picturing Andy Dalton in New England than I do Cam Newton,
Why
just
is that?
because like Cam Newton wears like these weird ass outfits during like press conferences and like pregame, and like can you just imagine him rolling up in like that weird outfit and like Bill Belichick sees him and is like, nah, you're not doing this here. Like, I can't wait. Like, if he goes there, I can't wait for that first like meme of the season where Bill is just like looking at him in disgust in his outfit. Like it's just I don't know. He's better than Andy Dalton, obviously, but
See, now all I can picture is Cam Newton going to New England and assimilating to the New England culture, and we're just going to see him in jean shorts.
jean shorts and a cowboy hat. I'd be with it. I'd be with it. Yeah, I mean, Cam is the better option of the two. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. I just think Andy Dalton is the more likely possibility there. But we don't know. We'll see. There are other teams like the Jaguars, but they still want to play Gardner Minshew, and the Raiders they just signed Mariota to back up Carr, so he's probably not going to go there.
Where did my man Nick Foles just land? Am I
Your
crazy or
man,
did he go to Chicago?
he went to Chicago with
Yeah.
to back up the great Mitch Trubisky. I'm assuming
Oh,
Nick.
he's going to steal his job and he's going to steal his
Yeah,
girl.
I
Easy. Like,
don't. I don't think it'll take long for him to steal his job. For sure, I agree with you there. Another team that came up with Andy Dalton in the Andy Dalton news today on Sports Talk Radio in New York was the Jets, and I'm not gonna lie, kind of scared at me at first, but then I thought about it and was like, Sam Dalton doesn't. I mean, Sam Dalton,
Sam
Sam
Dalton.
Darnold, Sam Dalton, Sam Darnold does not stay healthy for a full season, and we have no backup. We have no one. We have a rookie quarterback that we drafted in the 4th or 5th round from Florida International, and then we have like Nick Fales or something like that, whatever his name is. He's not good enough for me to know his name. That's basically tells me all I need to know. So yeah, I mean, Andy Dalton would not be a bad backup to have. I mean, the Jets have never won a game with the backup of Sam Darnold starting. So
Well, the backup quarterback is fucking important, man.
it is important. Everyone sneezes at it, but it's extremely important. You never know when you're going to need it.
That's the whole reason my team even has a Super Bowl.
That's right. Because Carson Wentz can't stay healthy, and that's why the
Well, to his
Eagles.
credit, he can make it to week 15.
Yeah, he can.
Like he'll get you in the postseason. You just need your backup QB to be the
Yeah.
postseason guy.
But you got to be in by week 15, otherwise it's a coin toss. Yeah, but your Eagles, I know you're not a draft guy. They drafted Jalen Hurts to be their backup quarterback.
I did see that. Some people, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and some people think they're thinking about a 2-quarterback system of some kind.
Yeah,
I don't know how much truth there is to that. I don't know if that's just internet rumors because news is just slow. But honestly, look, and I'm a big Carson Wentz guy. I think Carson Wentz can win a Super Bowl. He has the talent, and he has the team, and the franchise is very well put together, top to bottom. Carson Wentz can do it, but he has to stay healthy.
Yeah,
and with that said, he's proven he can stay healthy for most of the season. It's just the end of the season, and be it a dirty hit or not, where he just can't stay
Yeah.
on the field. So, you got to call a spade, and you got to look at it for what it is. And you need a talented backup quarterback to be a backup option if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. You don't need an
Yeah.
old Josh McCown. Bless him, he
No.
was great, but
Take
you
Josh
need a
McCown
plan B.
back.
Oh yeah, you need a plan B. And at the worst, he's a guy who can learn under Wentz and either replaces him in 4 or 5 years when the contract's up, or you end up trading him to get a defensive back or a safety that we so badly need.
Yeah. Yeah, there was rumors that they were thinking about using him in like a Taysom Hill role, the guy from the Saints.
Yeah, I
But
could see something like that.
but like I was telling Kevin Pat on our last episode, Taysom Hill was able to be Taysom Hill because the Saints had Teddy Bridgewater also backing up Drew Brees.
Well, we have Nate Sudfeld, Scott, and I'm
Yeah.
tired of the sports world sleeping
Here we
on
go.
Nate the Stud Sudfeld.
Here we
Okay?
go.
Okay, listen, in what was it? In the 2018-2019 preseason, he led the league in passing yards.
Okay.
Now, I know
great.
it's the preseason, but you can't sleep on Nate the Stud Sudfeld, the revolution.
That's fantastic. I hope that works out for you, Landy.
It probably won't.
Yeah. Yeah. But but yeah, so if you want to rely on Nate Sudfeld, then that's fine. Maybe you'll get what
I
you
think
want.
I think Nate Sudfeld would be the best third string quarterback in the league.
Okay. I mean that counts for something, right?
It has to.
It definitely counts for something. But yeah, like if you're cool with that, then yeah, Jalen Hurts being Taysom Hill can work. But like it only works in New Orleans because they had Teddy Bridgewater backing Drew Brees up, and now they'll have Jameis Winston in New Orleans too. So they have 3 actual quarterbacks that we know like something. Like Jameis Winston may turn the ball over every other throw, but he can also swing it pretty well and throws a lot of touchdowns. So that's why Taysom Hill is able to do what he does. I don't know if Jalen Hurts will be able to do that as effectively for the
But we'll
Eagles,
see.
but
Doug Peterson, I really believe, is one of the best coaches in the league, and he's good at thinking on his feet. So I think if there's a coach in the league that might be able to pull it off with the lacking resources you mentioned, it might be Dougie P.
Yeah, and time will tell. I mean, hopefully, we never see Jalen Hurts play in an Eagles uniform, and Carson Wentz just stays healthy for the rest of his career.
Ideally, I would love that.
Right?
Ideally, I would love that, Scott.
Yeah,
But we'll see. The season's always full of surprises.
Always full of surprises. But I think like even the Eagles front office wants that to happen too. You never want to play your backup quarterback. You just need to have one.
Exactly.
You know,
Bottom line is you just need to have one.
just need to have one. You also need to have a competent owner, and this is where we're going to go next to your other favorite team, the New York Mets. Pat and I, we talked about this pretty lengthy. A-Rod wants to buy the team. Now there's a new guy who's like interested in a fire sale only. He's some like biotech investor. But and me and you have talked even on the Landi Watch about Fred Wilpon and Jeff Wilpon and all the Wilpons in the fucking world that run the Mets to the ground. Like, does A-Rod do it for you? Like, is he the guy to take you home, or are you like Pat and you're just like anyone? Like literally anyone but the Wilpons.
Well, I've always subscribed to don't assume the devil you don't know is better than the devil you do.
Yes.
The Wilpons are absolute trash. That doesn't change. But I hate A-Rod. Like that's why this is hard for me. I hate him.
Yeah.
I think he just sucks.
Brilliant
baseball player. Brilliant baseball player. I just get a shitty vibe from him, and who knows? Maybe he's an angel, But I get a shitty vibe from him. J-Lo, she's all right. She'll probably not have much to do with this. What I like about but here's what I will say to A-Rod's credit is he's a baseball guy. At the end of the day, he's a baseball guy. He understands the game, and he was incredible in the broadcasting booth, not necessarily for his charisma, but for his wealth of knowledge. So is A-Rod qualified to own a baseball team? Probably more than some owners in the league, yes. Do I want him to own the Mets? I don't know. what if it turns into a circus? You know, didn't the
It will.
guy? Yeah, it will. I mean, it's always a circus in New York, no matter what you do, especially in the orange and blue. But I don't know, man. Um, at the end of the day, the owners play a role, but it's the players on the field that get it done. And as much as I hate the Wilpons and want to see them go, the Mets have had plenty of chances in my lifetime to win a championship. So
Yeah.
they might be holding the franchise back, but they're not completely eradicating our chances. We've been more successful at getting to the World Series than a lot of other teams in the league who have more competent ownership than we do and don't get involved in Ponzi schemes with Madoff. That said, at the end of the day, it comes down to the players. And at the end of the day, I believe the GM might actually wield more power in bringing a championship than the owners.
Yeah, and I was telling Pat, like, I love A-Rod, the GM, and I'm, like, okay with A-Rod, the owner, but I just think, like, the GM is, like, too much work for A-Rod, and it's, like, um, too much of, like, a spotlight position, right? You know, like,
Yeah.
the owner, like, everyone will know A-Rod's the
We're
owner.
gonna be shooting to the owner's booth and stuff
Right,
like that. Like, I don't
right,
know. I don't
right, I
know.
mean,
And I don't want it to be like a thing in his pocket. Like, oh, he owns the Mets and it's just like a clout chase. I
yeah,
hope it's not a clout chase. I hope A-Rod genuinely wants to own a team and bring that team to a championship. Like,
yeah,
maybe he
I mean,
does, or maybe he just wants more money and owning the Mets will bring in more money. I don't know. Um,
I think owning teams is a clout chase, like, regardless of who you are. Like, it's the
I
ultimate
mean, just look
toy.
at Mark Cuban. But Mark Cuban is a good example of how to do that and do it right. Because that
Yes,
guy genuinely gives a shit about the performance of the Dallas Mavericks. That's
yes,
why I remember years ago, apparently he was in the sweepstakes to buy the Mets, and I would have loved that. I would have
yeah.
absolutely loved that.
It would I mean, it would have been it would be good because he also had the Mavericks have one of, like, the best fan experiences, in the NBA. So, like,
Well,
you know, you
because
think of,
he's a
like
fan. Because
right,
he's a fan of the NBA.
right, and you think of, like, baseball, like, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so boring to go to a game, sit there for 3 hours, there's nothing, like, exciting." You'd have to think the Mets would be they would be a good in-game experience of something if Mark Cuban was owning it.
Well, you know what? While we're on that topic, as much as
Mhm.
we come at the Wilpons, I actually feel like the Mets already do a good job of that. You know, City Field is a tremendous ballpark. It is
Yeah.
way better than the shell of a stadium it was when they opened it in 2009. But, between the Coke Corner and the pregame and postgame experiences, I actually think the Mets do a really good job at that. And one
Yeah.
thing they've always done well, at least in my lifetime, is, catering to kids. And at the end of the day, keeping the experience centered around the kids. And that's something the Mets have always done, whether it's Shea Day or what they've done at Citi Field in the following
Mhm.
years. So, while you're talking about that, ways to make the game more fun, make it more involved, more of an experience, I actually think the Mets have done a pretty good job at that. And how much of that has to do with the Wilpons, I
Probably
don't
none.
know. But at the very least, they hired the right guy to come up with these ideas, right?
Yes,
You know?
they can't hire the right guys to build the team, but to build a good fan experience, they're good at that.
And that has to count for something.
Right. But I also think, like, it's important, you know, you say it's a good experience, but me and you are also baseball people. Like, we would have fun there regardless. You know,
Yeah,
I'd
we're
be
going to, because we
interested to
grew
bring
up with the game.
someone yeah, like, I'd be interested to bring someone to a game who's, like, never been to a game before, just never been to, like, City Field, and ask them, like, "Did you have a good time?" And I don't know if that answer will be yes, and I don't know if it would be yes if I brought them to Yankee Stadium for the first time, or I mean, I know if I brought
Well,
them to Tropicana, it wouldn't be a good time. If I brought them to
baseball's not,
Fenway or whatever,
I was just going to say, baseball's not for everybody. And that, at
right?
the end of the day, that's the truth. And you don't have to cater to everybody. You just need to cater to the people that like baseball. There's plenty of them. You just got to get them in the stadium.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, especially you know,
Well,
post COVID.
post COVID, with the how good baseball looks on TV now.
Dude,
Like
it's so much
sometimes I'll
better on
go
TV.
back, dude. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch some of the clips from the early 2000s. or even
Yeah.
like the mid 2000s, and it's grainy as fuck. And then
It's
you
so
look at it,
bad. I don't even
at it
remember it being
now,
like
and you could see the pores on the players' faces. So
that.
it's hard to get people into the ball. Well, I'll say it's harder than it used to be to get people into the ballpark because you
Yeah.
used to look at a blurry, grainy image with dull colors, but now it's vibrant.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is like usually when we talk about um like cameras like that or like what something looks like on TV like that, we're talking about something from like the 80s or like the 70s, like when me and you weren't even alive.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're describing was literally like 20 years ago. And when if you look at it, you're like, what the fuck is this? I was not alive. There was no way I was alive during this time, but we
It
were.
makes you kind of think. It makes you think like when we're 40, is 4K gonna look like shit?
Probably,
Isn't
probably.
that crazy? Because I feel like 4K sometimes looks better than real life.
Well, who? Damn, damn. I don't know. That's pretty deep right now. I don't know if I can handle
We'll
that.
save that for the lodge.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
But
large topic
but while
for
we're on
sure.
baseball, we could talk about these new proposed divisions.
Yes, we can, and I love them. We were talking a little bit before, so what I want to do here. Do you still have them up?
Yeah, yeah. Let me pull them up.
All right. So the way I look at it is that this. So for those who don't know, Bob Nightingale wrote an article in the USA Today of this supposed baseball proposal. If they start in late June or early July, they would play like 100 games, and this would definitely involve travel. Whether most of it could probably be done um, without a plane, although nowadays teams fly charter anyway, so it's not as big of a deal. Um, but to me, Landy, because this is travel, obviously hotels will have to be open. The cities will have to be open. Like the governors will have to be okay with this happening, obviously. And to me, like it's just like a best case scenario. Like this is in the best situation we will find ourselves with this plan. And I don't know how realistic it is to think like that right now, but I like
Well,
I like what I
I
see.
gotta say I'll give them this: the creative problem solving that's displayed in this simple organization of teams is actually kind of surprising. I didn't think they
Yeah,
could pull something like this off, but like when you think about it, how this would simplify travel in a post-COVID world, and this could work. This
it
could
could
really
work.
work. I don't know how I feel about it for a regular 162 game season. I really don't.
Yeah.
But this would make a shortened season really exciting. Like, how many times would the Mets and Yankees face each other in this 100-game season,
A
given that they're
lot.
in the same division? What, right?
A lot
So
because you only play your division. So it would be 100 games only within your division. So there's what, one, two,
I,
three, four, five, six.
I'm going to guess at least
There's
like
10. There's 10 teams in each division. If you want to play a 100-game season, it's simple math. I'm not going to do it because I was off today. I do enough math as an accountant, but it's simple math, guys. You can do it. Let me
you
know
could
the
do it
answer. You can
yourselves.
leave it in the comments. Um,
We'll leave the answer in the description.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
No, but this is cool. Honestly, I think this could work. Where it's going to get tricky, I'll tell you where it's going to get tricky, and we won't go too far into it. But whereas you have a place like New York where
Yeah,
they got hit early, so obviously we're going to be past it before some other places are. Where this could get
yes,
tricky is like, our peak very well may be behind us, knock on wood, but it could be early August and one of these places like Cincinnati suddenly hits their peak. And that's where
yeah,
things are going to get tricky. It's not like the whole country is on the same page.
yeah. It's super tricky. And then like if some team gets hit, like what do you do? Like you would probably shut down that division. Like if the Reds get hit, they're in the Central, so you would probably shut down the Central. But then what's the point of keeping the West and the East going? Like you just say, okay, Central's done. Now we have two divisions. Like what do you what do
I
you
guess
do?
that's another issue, right? Is like it's going to be such a fragile season. It's like it's going to take, I don't want to
Yeah.
say a miracle, but
But yeah, I mean
it's
almost
going
a
to take
miracle.
some luck. It's going to take some luck.
Bro, I guess this is like the best case. This is like everything in the world works out and coronavirus is like gone. Which it's not gonna be gone anyway, but
We'll say tame.
yeah, it'll be tame. But like even this, like I have to believe no fans still under this proposal.
At least for July. Like maybe in August and the fall, depending how things are. And maybe it's a stadium by
Yeah.
stadium basis, right? Like maybe there are some stadiums that could be opened up for business in like August, September. But that's another question I have. So when does this season end? Are we on the same schedule or are we going to end a little
So
bit
I
later
think
into the
like
season?
I think if they do, I don't know, but I think if they do like end of June, early July, play 100 games, probably have not as many off days. And I think if you cut down off days, obviously I don't think there would be an all-star break. You could probably finish close to the same time, maybe a little deeper into November, I think. Right? I mean, like how many games do you like June is the third month of
Well,
the
let's see.
season,
How many
but it's the
days? How
second
many
full month.
days? If there's 30 days in a month, how many days are between July 1st and November 1st?
I don't fucking know.
There's 120 days. I guess,
Yeah,
because I'm just doing like 30 a month. I think that's right.
yeah,
We got about 120 days to play 100 games. So
yeah.
you have to think it's, ooh, that's tight, man.
It's tight. It's
That's
tight.
tight.
Maybe there'd
How are
be
you
a
gonna do
plan to play
rainouts?
like in a warm weather city, like a neutral site, like playoff bubble or something. I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to play in warm weather for sure. Like they're not gonna send you to fucking Chicago in the in December. I would imagine. I mean, that would suck. No one would want to do that. Um, the
It'll be
thing, the
interesting to
thing,
see.
the thing I like, and this is my biggest takeaway from it. Um, I think you and I were big baseball fans, so like we could probably name every player on the 26-man roster for the Yankees and Mets. Like you could name the
I
Mets,
could at least get close.
and I could name yeah, and I'll probably miss one person on the Yankees, but I'll probably get there. And then so then the NL East, you could probably name like what 5 or 6 guys with confidence on each NL East teams.
Just about, except maybe the Marlins,
Okay,
because
yeah, that's
that's a
that's
fucking
fair.
revolving door.
That's fair. So then the other teams in the MLB, how many could do you think you could name per team? Like how many players do you think you can name per team?
I'll
Probably
tell
like
you that,
two.
Scott. I'll tell you this, Scott. I'll tell you this. If you asked the Nick Landy of 10 years ago, I could probably tell you I could get a good chunk of their lineup. Me,
Yeah,
maybe one or two per team. Conservatively,
right,
there's some teams where I could probably get like 5 guys, but yeah,
right,
probably one or two guys per team.
right. So that's exactly how I want to head on to this, because what this 10 team divisions do is you see more guys that you would never usually see, and then you get more familiar with other teams because you're not just relying on national television to see like the Red Sox play or the Blue Jays play. Although I don't know if the Blue Jays would ever be on national TV, but you almost get what I'm saying. You're getting exposed to
Yeah.
more people, and you're probably going to then grow popularity within those 10 teams, and in turn, you're going to grow the popularity of baseball. Like that's immediately I looked at, it, and that's where I went like right away.
Well, Scott, here's what I can tell you, and I think this might trigger something in Major League Baseball to make them rethink some of the decisions they made in the last few years. Look, it doesn't matter how bad the Mets and Yankees are. It doesn't matter. They could both be last
Hmm.
place teams. But when they
Yeah,
face each other, those ballparks are going to be sold out. You know,
yeah,
if baseball really wants to boost their attendance, put these rival teams up against each other more. And I think that's
right.
what this does. I feel like this opens up, like, who knows? Maybe we get benches clearing brawls between the Phillies and Red Sox. And like as Mets and Yankees fans, it's like, we can't lose, you
Yeah,
know? Um,
because like what
this
you're
opens up a
saying,
bunch of it. I mean, think about the Rays and Marlins. Maybe people in Florida will finally watch fucking baseball if there
they
are 10
watch
Rays
it.
and Marlins games.
They watch it. The Rays have good television numbers. They have shitty in stadium numbers.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Because if you've ever been to Tropicana, you would understand why. Um, but yeah, like you hear it all the time that baseball is like a regional sport. So it never made sense to me. Like, why are you then making the AL East and the NL East? Like you're making it more regional within the region. Like there's no reason why it shouldn't just be East, West, and Central. Like I'm anti-division in like every single sport, so this just maybe that's why I love this so much. But and it's probably only for this shortened season, but it would be great to have it for like forever, in my opinion.
But I got to tell you, Scott, is like right now I'm kind of cautious about that. But the idea of the Mets and Yankees facing each other 10 times,
It's
hell,
amazing.
even the Mets and Red Sox facing each other 10 times. That sounds like a fucking ball, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
And like,
like we've gotten neutered. We used to get 6 games, Mets Yankees. Now we get
and we get
4.
4.
Whose fucking decision was that? Those are sold out
I
games.
know, I know.
I don't
It's
get it.
terrible. It's terrible.
But that's why I like this, because I feel like we've been deprived the last few years. We're missing. That's the thing. All the Mets Yankee games we should have gotten over the last 3 years are going to be made up in this season.
Yeah, and then they don't even have Mets Yankees on the weekend. They have them like, oh, it's Monday night, Mets Yankees. Oh, great. You know, that's amazing. It's fucking stupid. You imagine, like, because City Field, you could tailgate. Like, we tailgate at City Field all the time. You imagine a
Exactly.
Met Yankee game, you could tailgate all day and make it a Saturday night game? Or Saturday,
Listen,
Sunday?
and
Oh,
then people
oh my
people are going
God,
to
we'd be
tail.
so drunk, Landy.
And when you're drunk, you spend money.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
yeah.
so hammered. Totally need a new T-shirt, bro.
So hammered, totally need another tall boy. Yep, thank you.
Dude, is that your second sausage and peppers? It's only the
Shut the
4th inning.
Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to live my life. Oh man. Yeah, dude. I mean, that would be amazing. It'd be amazing to bring regional rivalries back. Would be
Put them at the front of
positive.
the sport. Put them at the
Exactly.
front.
What do you mean?
Well, look, baseball has, like, I don't want to say an image problem, but they have a charisma issue. Would you
Yes.
agree with that?
Yes, for
Okay.
sure.
So one of the ways you can fix that is by literally forcing rivalries. And when you put the Mets and
Right.
Yankees on top of each other like that, you're forcing rivalries. And that's good because then it's going to be a topic of conversation, right? It's not just about the game
Mm-hmm.
itself. It's about if the Mets and Yankees are facing each other 10 times a year, that means me, the Mets fan, and you, the Yankees fan, are going to talk about it more. And if you and I are going to
Exactly.
talk about it more, it creates more buzz.
Exactly. And where do most people do their talking nowadays?
Online.
Social media. It'll grow social media. Things will catch fire, and it just snowballs from there. I mean, I think me and you both agree it's probably not like just knowing baseball the way we do. It's probably not like a permanent change, because it makes too much sense to be a permanent change. That's basically what baseball does. But it would be great. I mean, how great is it? Like in the West, you have the Astros and the Dodgers playing each other all those times a year. Like that's awesome. That's
That's
awesome.
going to be insane.
And the
By the way, the
Central,
Astros, hold on. While we're on this, the Astros couldn't be fucking luckier. They were going to get
yeah,
jumped in
I,
parking lots. They were going to get shit thrown at them as they're walking back to the dugout. If anybody has won here in
yeah.
baseball from this bullshit, it's the Astros.
I saw like when this came out, I went to Bleacher Report and I looked it up, and I saw someone commented, it should just be everyone versus the Astros.
Now
Like the
that, if
Astros in their
baseball
own
wants to
division.
boost attendance, that's the way to do it. Give us a
That'd be
common
the
enemy.
that'd be the best. That'd be the best. No, yeah, they definitely lucked out though. I mean, and Pat and I talked about the Red Sox scandal, and we like briefly touched on the Astros. I still can't like talk about them without losing my shit, and I don't want to lose my shit today. Honestly, I really don't. Not
It
over
was
them.
your off day. It was your off day. You should take it easy.
They're not. They're just not worth my time anymore. That's the way I look at it. Um, but then you were talking about like a face of baseball too, right? When you like went on your little tangent there.
The face of baseball? Yeah,
Yeah.
because as we
So
mentioned, they have a bit of a charisma issue.
yes. So I was listening to R2C2, and I actually meant to text our group chat about this. So R2C2 is CC Sabathia's podcast with Ryan Rucco, and they had on Justin Upton. This was like when they were in Arizona. They like kind of recorded and stashed this episode and released it last week. Excuse me. Um, so then they were like talking to him like about all the Angels on the team. They're talking about like Pujols and Fletcher. So I'm like, listen, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm probably gonna learn some stuff about Trout. Because Mike Trout is the best player in the world that I've ever seen, best that I'll probably ever see. And nothing, no mention of Mike Trout. What the fuck? What the fuck?
You
I
think
didn't.
he's got a secret dirty past, and this is why the MLB just
He
won't
has
push
to.
him to the front?
He has to. Honestly, it's the only thing that makes sense. I've never seen someone so good not want to be known as a professional athlete, besides like Jeter. But even Jeter
But
was known. I know more about Jeter than
Jeter
anyone.
lived in Trump Tower.
Exactly.
He was known. But for Mike Trout, I mean, I guess maybe you can respect that if Mike really wants to if the guy himself wants to just stay out of the spotlight. I mean, you got to think about what some of these players must deal with, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get him wanting to be private, but like, I don't want to hear Justin Upton go on the podcast and talk about Dustin Fletcher or Albert Pujols. Although I love Albert Pujols, he's a great player, had a great career. He's still playing, but I want to hear about Mike Trout. Like, why are you not pushing Mike Trout on me? Push him down my throat. Pause.
That's dirty. That's dirty. That's dirty. You better hope that doesn't get cut and clipped.
Well, if someone learns how to cut and clip that, can you please teach me? That'd be great.
I can
That's
teach
what
you.
that's what I'll say to that. So let's go to. Did you see my text today? Because I know you're not a big texter. So
Definitely
I
not, but
sent
I'll
you a
check that.
question that I wanted you to answer on the pod.
I think I saw this. I just want to make sure I don't jump the gun on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It'd
okay.
probably
Yeah, I
be
saw
more
this.
fun if you jumped the
So
gun.
I
And I
gave
was like,
this.
nah.
I gave this some thought, and it's tough. I wish you gave me this question a couple days ago, but
All right. Well, I didn't. So you're gonna have to work on the fly. This is what all my guests
can I
do.
tell you what the obvious answer is for me? But it's like I don't want this to be my official answer because if you're gonna ask every guest this, you're gonna get this a lot.
Okay, but can I tell
You
the
want to?
people what the question is first?
That would probably be good, wouldn't
it? Yeah, probably. It may be recommended. That's what I've heard. So, Landi, what is your favorite sports moment?
My favorite sports moment of all time.
Yeah. Now you didn't have. I don't know how you looked at it, so you don't have to have been there. Like you could have just been like watching it.
I'll
I
tell
don't
you
know
this:
if that affects your answer.
It doesn't because I wasn't there for either of these.
Okay.
I have two.
Okay.
One, the post 9/11 Mike Piazza home run.
Yes.
That was so much more than a home run and so much more than sports. And I know that sounds, corny and existential, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That electrified a city, and that gave a young kid from Long Island hope that everything was going to be okay. But outside of that, seeing the Eagles win the fucking Super Bowl against the Patriots, getting revenge. Oh my God. So it's like, I guess my favorite moment as a kid is that Piazza home run. But my favorite moment as an adult is without a doubt the Eagles beating the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, getting revenge for Spygate. That was a joy. Shout out to Dan fucking Muller.
Shout out Dan Muller. I think one of my favorite sports moments was watching you watch the Eagles win the Super Bowl for sure.
I was a wreck for 3 hours, but it
Dude,
was.
I have that legendary picture of you and Dan just like freaking the fuck out. Dan took his glasses off. Your eyes look like an owl. You're just in between White Castle boxes with your hand over your head.
Dude, I couldn't
eat.
I couldn't fucking eat. That was the craziest thing. First of all, shout out to Vogel for hosting that. And what an amazing spread of food. An incredible spread of American delectables. And at the center of the table, stacks of White Castle burgers, which courtesy I eat once a year. Courtesy of John, too. Stacks of White Castle burgers. I put 5 on my plate. I ate 2. That was it. I couldn't even drink. I was just in another place. But the suffering, because that was the funny thing, is the Eagles absolutely dominated the first half, and you can vouch for this. Me and Dan still weren't necessarily enjoying ourselves very much.
No, you guys looked like you were losing. Like you and Dan, not the Eagles. You and Dan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it felt like we were losing. I mean, look, especially after the shit they pulled on the Falcons like a couple years before that. It's like, look, unless you're up by 40 points in the fourth quarter, you haven't beat the Patriots. That's the way it is. I hope it's no longer that way with Tom Brady out because to his credit, seemingly, a lot of that did have to do with him. Tom Brady's fourth quarter numbers. I mean, for fuck's sake, Scott. the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl was Tom Brady's best game in Super Bowl history. If you look at the raw numbers of it,
Yeah.
obviously he had more clutch performances in other games, but from a numbers perspective, the guy had a fucking electrifying Super Bowl, and we still won. Like that, it just seemed like, what could I say? It was sports fan bliss, you know.
Yeah.
And I never mind. That was the only championship any of my sports teams have won in my lifetime. So,
And you won a
you only
bet
get
that
one
night too.
first. Yeah. And you only get one first. And beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl is a good first, you know?
For sure. But I
That's
want to
like the
go
sports
back.
equivalent. That's like the sports
Yeah.
equivalent of fucking the prom queen.
Right on the dance floor too.
Oh, yeah, in front of everybody. And everyone's rooting for you. And you're usually the asshole in school.
Yeah, now everyone's just seniors instead.
That's the only circumstance that that people would root for the Philadelphia Eagles, by the way. That was the other thing that made it a perfect storm. The fact they were facing the Patriots was the only way anyone in their right mind who isn't an Eagles fan would root for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I was rooting for you. I was rooting for you and Dan more than the Eagles. But I was obviously not rooting for the Patriots either. So
I appreciate that. Like, if the Jets were in the Super Bowl, I'd be rooting for like you and my brother and everyone else more than I was rooting for the actual team.
yeah, I give you a lot of credit for like going to Vogel's that night to watch the Super Bowl, because if the Jets ever make it there, like, you guys are not gonna see me on Super Bowl Sunday. Like, there's zero chance I show up to a house party. Because
why are you afraid you're gonna like destroy things? Or
yeah, I mean, like, so when like the team I'm most passionate about is the Duke Blue Devils men's basketball team, and I've put like holes in my basement wall when they get like eliminated from March Madness. So I kind of hope my mom doesn't listen to this episode. I don't know if she knows that. But yeah, like, it could get ugly. It could definitely get ugly. I would probably go if Pat goes, because like we're both Jet fans. So like,
and Vogel.
well, yeah, supposedly he's not a Jet fan anymore because he switched to the Saints. But yeah, or he's always been a Saints fan. Whatever.
We all wear masks, Scott. We all wear masks.
Literally, we all should wear masks now. It's very important. Wear a mask.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point.
Wear a mask. But I want to go back to your Mike Piazza home run, because it makes me think, like, when sports eventually come back in America, I mean, in the world too, but like mostly America, do you think like baseball will have that moment? Because to me, it has to be baseball. Like, what's basketball going to do? Like, the first basket? Like, that's not like, I mean, it'll be cool, but like, what's hockey going to do? Like, the first goal? Like, I feel like it's, if it has to be baseball, Scott, to be like a symbolic moment like that.
Absolutely, because I feel like baseball is like, it's America's archetype for sports. Like, even though football is the biggest sport in the country, if America burned down tomorrow, it's going to be remembered for baseball and jazz and apple pie at the end of the day. But dude, the first pitch in front of a live audience is going to be a madhouse.
And I think throws it. Think some team gets Fauci?
That's a good question.
Because I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think it's gonna be Trump. Like, I definitely don't think he's
no. You need a unifying figure. Whatever your thoughts are about the guy. The country's pretty divided politically right now, so you need to find somebody who transcends politics. So I nominate Betty White. Betty White throws out that first pitch. I swear to God, we're going to cure cancer the next day. You watch.
How close do you think she's going to have to stand to home plate?
She's throwing from the mound. Perfect
no way.
strike.
There's no chance. There's no chance. It's a perfect strike. She'll need a cutoff, man. She'll throw it. She'll throw it to Fauci, who will then throw it into the catcher's mitt.
If they pull that off, that'll be pretty cool.
6 feet apart, though. Still have to be 6 feet apart. That would be something, dude. The thought of Betty White just in like, you think she would get dressed up in like full baseball gear?
It depends if she's senile yet, and if she has any handlers.
So if she's senile, is it more likely or less likely?
Oh, I think more likely.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think Betty.
Good.
I don't think
I'm
Betty
glad
White in
we're
her
going
right
that way.
fucking mind. I don't think Betty White in her right fucking mind would ever do that.
I think she would. What does she have to lose? She's fucking Betty White. She's like
Her
a
life,
hundred
because like
thousand years
when
old.
that Scott, when that first pitch happens, like Corona is still going to be circulating, and she's literally the demographic most
Oh
susceptible to
yeah. Okay.
death.
That's
So like
true.
maybe
That's
she
true.
should stay home, but she's senile and has some handlers who are trying to make a quick buck or get some exposure. Yeah, throw her out there, fuck it.
Dude, that'd be wild. That would be so wild. I didn't know, like, because you got excited when I asked you, and I'm like, damn, like, who's he gonna say? I did not think it was gonna be Betty White. I
I
thought
want
you
you
were
guys to say The Rock. Imagine The Rock did it. I feel like The Rock might be a good one.
The Rock may get booed, honestly. I feel like it
How?
because
He's The Rock.
I feel like it would turn into corny if The Rock did it, and I'm not in the mood for corny when
I mean,
baseball like
baseball's pretty
first
cool.
comes back.
Baseball's kind of corny though, man. Like
Sports are kind of corny, but I'm just not in the mood for corny when it comes back.
fair,
You know,
fair. You're entitled to your
I-
own tastes.
I'd rather laugh with with Betty White.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's why she's the perfect candidate. I nominate her.
I hope
I
she
would say
comes
at
out in
Twitter. I
like
tweet her
a.
right now.
I hope she comes out in like a all gold baseball jersey.
All like Golden Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be
that'd be kind of
fun.
cool. That'd
She
be
has to come
so.
from the bullpen in like the little bullpen cart.
Well, yeah, she probably won't be able to walk all that way. That'd be kind of fucked up.
Oh no, they're trying to shorten the game of baseball, so no part of Betty White walking needs to happen.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. That'd be
Oh
amazing.
yeah, oh yeah.
That would be better than the NFL halftime show.
I fucking hate the halftime show.
Do you think that Betty White throwing the first pitch in baseball is funnier than Shakira making that noise in the halftime show?
Is it funnier? Yeah, because there's like something so endearing about it. It feels safe laughing at that. When
Yeah.
Shakira made that noise, it was kind of like what?
It was going, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly.
I just remember looking at Joe when she made that noise, and like Big Joe, not like Santangelo, but like Big Joe, and he was just like he had his cackle, like you could just picture it now. He almost fell off the fucking couch. Oh man, it was great. Shout out Joe Santangelo of Super Sandwich Bros. Um, but yeah, I mean that's really all. That's all the sports shit we had today. Um, I do want you to definitely plug the Landy Lodge, and I know you have another podcast that you're very excited to. You co-host that one, right? Your other one?
Yes, I co-host. So I
Yeah.
guess I'll move into the pitch here. So if you've been listening and you're still listening to this episode, thank you.
God
Really
bless you.
God bless you. Really do appreciate you listening to us. So I introduced myself in the beginning. My name's Nick Landi. I have a YouTube channel and podcast, The Landi Lodge. The podcast pretty much revolves around nerd culture. Sometimes we'll deviate off that path and talk about other things, like sports or, like what's going on in the world, philosophical concepts, whatever the hell our brains are ragging on with that particular guest. The YouTube page, while it has the podcast, I also do a lot of video game content. I stream every now and then, but mostly I do a lot of story analysis for some of my favorite video games. I do a lot of video game theories and stuff like that, all on the YouTube channel. So that's the Landy Lodge. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Instagram. Anywhere you look, you'll find us. As for the other podcast, I do that with my man Chris, Big C. It's called The Midgar Minute. If any of you are a fan of Final Fantasy VII or have any interest in playing the remake that just came out, it's a podcast dedicated entirely to that game, that universe, and that lore. So that's The Midgar Minute. You can find that on every platform, and we also have an Instagram if you want to follow us. So the Landy Lodge, The Midgar Minute. If you look it up, you're going to find it.
So I'm not familiar with the game, Landy. Like, is the Midgar Minute like a? I'm assuming it has some relation. Like, is it like a character? Like, is the Midgar like a character?
The Midgar
Like,
is the city
yeah,
that the game takes place in.
got it.
Yeah,
So
at least
hold
the
on.
beginning.
So then I'm going to ask you another question because this is something me, Pat, and Kevin did last time. If
Yeah.
you were to enter a tournament of a video game tournament, what game are you picking?
So if I was to compete in this game,
Yeah. Yeah, like you're playing the game.
playing the game, competing against the best of the best. You basically asked me what game do I have the best chance in competing with?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's close. It's close. I'm going to say it's a tie between the new Smash Brothers that just dropped. I'm pretty damn good at that. I can hold my own. There's probably plenty of people that would whoop me at that, but I'm pretty fucking good. But any Soul Calibur game, I can fuck shit up. I can fuck shit up. So probably I'll say Soul Calibur 2 HD. That one. If I had to enter a tournament for one game, probably that one.
Got it. Yeah, I went NBA 2K, and Pat went MLB The Show, and K-Mac went with Gears, which I know is a... Oh, no, not Gears. Halo.
Damn.
Halo, I'm sorry.
It's still fucking dope.
But Pat mentioned Gears, and I thought of, like, he brought up, like, how you guys always used to play growing up.
Yeah, because
like,
fuck homework.
Day. Yeah.
Fuck homework. Play Gears, fuck homework.
There's a message for the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a wild card for you because this is a sports podcast.
Yeah.
If I had to enter a competition for a sports game, Mario Baseball on the GameCube, baby. For those who know, they know.
They know.
Mm-hmm.
I never played that game, to be completely honest with you.
It's so much fucking fun, dude. It's like, I don't know. It's just so much fucking fun.
Yeah. Is it like Wii Baseball, or is it like better than Wii Baseball?
Oh, it's way better than Wii Baseball.
All right, because I suck at Wii Baseball.
Yeah.
When that was a thing like 10 years ago.
I'm not a big motion controls guy. I'm really not a big motion controls guy. There's a joystick on the controller. Let's just use that. It's worked for fucking 40 years.
Yeah, my problem with the Wii was like I was always afraid that I was gonna like let go and just like destroy my TV.
I'm sure there are plenty of holes in walls in American homes just caused by flinging Wiimotes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Andy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for supporting us monthly the way you do, and everything that you've done for the End of the Bench. It was an honor to have you on. It was definitely different being the host this time, because you're usually the host, but it was a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you guys all for listening. Follow us on Instagram at _end of the bench, Twitter at the EOTB, and the YouTube is in the podcast link if you want to watch on YouTube instead of just listen. And please feel free to support the podcast. 50% of your monthly contribution goes to No Kids Hungry, so we can help contribute to even more meals than we did this month. Thanks guys for listening, and we will be back soon. Thanks, Landi.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.